So now we've done our pre-writing, we've got our mind map of our unusual pet. Now we're going to start our draft. Remember, it doesn't matter about mistakes, your spelling and your punctuation in your draft. It's just a matter of getting your ideas down first. So I've decided I'm going to choose mum. So I start my letter with Dear Mum. Now you may have noticed in the book when they wrote the word mum, it had an M-O-M. Does anyone know why they spelt it like that? That's right, because in America and some other countries in the world, they spell it mom with an O, but we're going to spell it with a U because that's how we do it in Australia. So, dear mum. Now I just spoke to you about rhetorical questions. I'm going to start with a rhetorical question to get mum thinking about how cool it would be to have this dragon. So, dear mum, can you imagine how cool it would be to have a pet dragon? So there's my rhetorical question to start. So I'm getting mum thinking, mum, can you imagine how cool it would be to have a pet dragon? So I'm not really looking for an answer from mum. That's why it's a rhetorical question. So my rhetorical question is my introduction. Now remember, with the 5 parts, we have an introduction, our first reason, our second reason, our third reason, and then our conclusion. Now remember when Alex signed off in the story, he always signed off with something different. So you might like to go back into the story when you're doing your ending to see how did Alex end his story and what do you think is going to be a very convincing way to persuade mum and dad that you could have your unusual pet. So I have my rhetorical question. Now I need my first reason. Firstly, now I think back to my plan. What did I have in my plan? I'll look at that. Firstly, we could use him as a jungle gym and jump on his belly and slide down his tail. All right, so I've got my introduction, dear mum, and remember when you write a letter, you only have the person that you're writing to on the top line. Then we start a new line. So I have my introduction, which is my rhetorical question. Can you imagine how cool it would be to have a pet dragon? Then I'm going into my first reason. Firstly, we could use him as a jungle gym and jump on his belly and slide down his tail. So now what you need to do is put your 5 parts in, introduction, try to use a rhetorical question, reason 1, reason 2, reason 3, your conclusion, and go back and look at the story to see how you can sign it off from your name, just like Alex did to convince your mum. Good luck with your draft.